Hey everybody, welcome back to MidNightChats1. It's me again, Abby. It's my first video again in a while, so just be doing so much shit. It was my birthday like 2 days ago, so 34, old man now. Thanks for everybody that wished birthday thankses and stuff. So yeah, got some good reviews even in my last video, so yeah, thanks. So subscribers are all going up, likes are coming up, so it's all good. I think there's somebody that watches my videos that doesn't like me, but shut for watching still, eh? You keep not liking it and I'll be all good. So yeah, I was thinking, what should I do about my next video? So I thought, I've done a lot of jobs since I've moved to New Zealand, and like, I thought, I'll do one about my jobs that I did. So my first job in New Zealand that kind of like actually paid me was like, there used to be a car washing place, car sales up in Rewa, just by Mobile, if anybody knows. I don't think it was called Zodiac, it was called something else back then, but yeah, I remember one of my caregivers wanted to go down and buy a car, so I was talking to him, the owner there, and he's like, oh, do you live up the road? I was like, yeah. He's like, oh, what do you do? I was like, oh, just nothing. And he's like, oh, I was like, oh, you're looking for any work kind of thing? And he's like, oh, if you come over here and wash all my cars because of the dust, I'll give you like, I think it was like $40 or $60. So I was like, oh, for all these cars. And I think there was like about 80 or 100 cars on the block. So I was like, oh, I used to do it, and then my siblings, if you've watched, you ruined their job for me when you was all moaned and wanted a job too. Then it got dropped down to what I think I was getting like $20 to clean all the cars. So yeah, shop, bro. So yeah, that was a cool job. Just wash all the dust and everything like that. Then I started, I think I was about 16 years old when I got my first job at Burger King Mission Bay. I think I was still studying at the time, and I remember that was the funniest way that I got my job. I remember going in to meet the girl that was doing my interview. She was like a young island girl, and she sat me down. She's like, oh, can you tell me something about yourself? I was like, oh, I go to Samhain College, live just up the road, looking for a job. And he's like, oh, you can speak English well. And I was like, really? Me? And he's like, yeah, all the people that work here can't speak English. And I was like, shit, really? And he's like, oh, she was like, yeah. So I was like, oh, well, I can speak English and I'm looking for a job. And he's like, oh, okay, can you start? I think it was like on Saturday. And I was like, yeah. So yeah, I started that job, and that was alright, like learning the burgers and stuff from BK. And I enjoyed my discount. They used to do like a 20% King's card discount back then, so that was cool. It was like, yeah, I think I spent half my pay on my lunches, and yeah, so that was a cool job. I became a manager there pretty fast, and that was one of the most shocking things that I was like, whoa. I became a manager when I was like 16, 17. I think I was 16 or 17, maybe, I can't remember. And one night that I was working there, and it was me and the girl who was the manager, and I think we had 5 new people that started their shift that day, and they knew nothing. And like, if you've ever worked in a takeaway store, you know what life's like, especially like when dinner rush comes through. And yeah, so we were I was at the front till because I'd worked a few shifts before that. I was taking the orders, and she was in the back making burgers, and all the new people didn't know what to do, and we had like line outside the door, like through Mission Bay, just by the road. And I was like, shit, what do we do? And like, she got so upset because they were asking her, there was so much people. She just like broke down and went into her office and locked herself in there. And I was like, what do I do? Like, shit. So I panicked. So I quickly went down I took one of the workers and I put her at the front desk, and I was like, you stay here and just everything they say, look it up, and then tell me once they're finished, and I'll come and check it. I went into the back, started making burgers quickly. Well, the other 2 workers, they were there. I said, just go into the lobby and just clean. Like, just put all the dishes away, chuck any rubbish, mop up, and like, I'll just run it. And like, I think I gave so much free ice creams that day, because I was like shocking. And then an hour later, when the rush finished, and I was sitting there, damn, I don't know how I did it. Like, it was just like, there was so much people angry that day at like Burger King, and they were like all saying, if it wasn't for you, man, if it wasn't for you. I was like you could have gone somewhere else, but like, you just that hungry and you wanted BK. Mission Bay people, eh? And so yeah, and then my manager came out and she's like, that was just so much for me, I couldn't handle that. What happened? Was and I just told her what I did, and she's like, well, thank you for that. She's like, we'll see how much we lost that night when they did the final counting. I think we were like under by like $80. So that was still pretty good. So got that sorted, and she's like, I'm gonna resign after today. I will tell, I think the owner's name back then was like G or something like that. And he's like, I'll tell him that I'll put you up for a managing role. And I was like, hey. And I think my pay went up to like $14 then. I think I started up on 12. It was like $14. I was like, yee. And like, I got a free meal as a manager. So I was like, yeah, I was all good. So I was happy with that one. So that was an all goods job. While I was doing that, I was studying to become a lifeguard. So that was I felt like I did a lot of helping in that job. One of the things that happened to me first that always make me second guess that job was, I was standing on poolside. I was newly graduated, and I had the whole pool to myself. So I was watching the baby side and the main pool, and I was standing in the center, and I looked over to the side, and there was this mum with her toddler, and she had come in and she got her change, put her in one of those swimming rings, and she turned around to put clothes away, and her toddler just ran straight into the pool. And when she got to the poolside, and she walked in, and she went straight in and went straight, her head went under the water, but she had the floaty thing, so she couldn't push herself back up. And I was like, whoa! So I quickly ran over to the side, flipped her over, and just started crying. And then the mum turned around and it's like, what happened? And that was like within 10-15 seconds. Like, that was, yeah, like it was only a few seconds, because you only need like 1 or 2 breaths of water, and that's it. You have to start CPR. So that was like, after that I was like, shit, like that could have been a baby's life lost if I just wasn't paying attention to just that, watching people and seeing what happens. And like, yeah, so there was that. There was a few other incidents that we had at the pools which were very sad. And I remember one time I was working there, and there was a person swimming, and they were just bouncing in the lane, and they got to a certain distance, and it was too deep, and they didn't know how to swim, and they couldn't push themselves back up, and just started, and like, I just saw him, and I was like, is he missing, or is he actually drowning? And then I was like, nah, shit, I better just throw the rope in. And I threw the rope at him, and he grabbed it, and I pulled him out, and I was like, you okay? And he's like, oh God, I didn't know what to do. And I was like, oh, like, but he looked like he was just missing there. Originally, looked like he was just jumping, like trying to jump up and down. And yeah, like, I was 18 then, so I was like, wow, like that could have been a death there. What else? There was one of the saddest things that I remember seeing was, so you have a shallow end and a deep end, and there's a reason where they say no diving in the shallow end. And yeah, there was this guy that came in, and it was on the shallow end. He was standing, and he went to dive in, and like, okay, so if I count this as the water, the shallow end is only here. And so this guy went to jump, and he went bang, and his head went straight onto the concrete, and then the rest of his legs kind of floated into the water, and just was like a puddle of blood. And I was like, yeah. So me and luckily there was a few other staff that day. We went and quickly pulled her out. The senior staff at the time had taken over that side while I kind of took everybody out of the pools and got everybody into like a calmer situation and moved them into the next pool so the other two staff can concentrate on the person. I think he survived, so but he was, yeah, so if you ever see the sign for no diving, like that was there for a reason. So that was one of the sad ones. There was another funny ass story. That was one of the other pools I was working at, and there was this guy and his girlfriend in this spa and didn't take any accounts of them. And then I saw this one angry lady walking right through grumpy ass, and I was like, what's up with her? And she walked over to and started yelling like, I'm so used to, I can't believe you did this, I thought we were. And then that was his wife, and she's been tailing him and his girlfriend all day. And I was like, oh, like this was like mean drama. I was like, shit. And I think the most interesting guy I ever met at the swimming pools was a guy named Bluey. I don't know what his real name was, but yeah, his name was Bluey. And he was the first person I ever met that actually openly told me that his bride was like an online bride, like he bought her. And like before that, you always just heard things about that, but you never met her. And he was like 65 or something, like old, and his wife was like 20 and young Asian thing. But I thought she'd be like upset and like she's married to the 65-year-old, but she was honestly, every time I used to see her, she was so happy. Like she was living her best life. Like I don't know what behind closed doors life was like for her, but what I saw, she was just happy. She used to come in. I remember seeing his kids with her like at the pools and things like that, and I was like, oh, even like, because he had like kids that were older than her, and like, yeah, he used to just come down to the pools and he used to like just talk. He was just an old guy. He used to just come and sit in the sauna and spa and just tell us about his life. And yeah, he's like, oh, I bought me a wife. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, 10,000. And I was like, that's like 2007, so I don't know how much 10,000 was back then for them, but it was a lot. And I was like, shit. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna go fly her over and pick her up, and then yeah, she's gonna move into the country with me. I was like, oh. And I thought for ages, I was like, oh, okay. And then I didn't see him for a while, and then I think it was like 2 months later or 3 months later that he came in, because he must have been showing her in New Zealand or something. And then yeah, I met her, and yeah, she was such a nice lady. I don't remember her name, but yeah, so most interesting person I ever met at the swimming pool. After that, I think once I left that, I left lifeguarding because yeah, it got boring. But yeah, as one of my friends will remember why I left. She knows who she is if you watch this video. Our party night there, we finished shift early. Oh, we finished shift late, and we thought, oh, we'll do an all-nighter. Let's just do an all-nighter, and because we had to start at 5 a.m. And I was like, oh yeah, we can do this. Started drinking. I got so drunk that I just conked out, and like she had walked to work, like I think at 3 a.m. from like Rewa to Papakura Massey Park pools. Like that was ages away, and like shit, I can't believe she did that. Like she was a soldier. But yeah, when I got to work that morning at 6 o'clock, I was still so hungover. Like I was just vodka'd myself to comatose, and the manager had come in and he's like, I heard what happened. If I take you to the police station right now, would you fail a breath test? And I was like, yeah, probably. He's like, well, you're not fit to work. And yeah, because we had people's lives in our hands, so I understood that one. People always say to me, oh, like you could have taken him, like that was unfair, he can't dismiss you because like other people have done that at the job too and didn't get fired, but I did. But yeah, I still had their lives, man, and I should have just, it would have been better if I just stayed home instead of going in. So yeah, so that ended that job, and then after that started my teaching career, where well, it took 9 years of my life, so that was a very long time. And like, there's so much stuff that happened within that time that helped me grow, learn. People I met through my life because of my teaching career, like, I will never forget them, because just you just build memories with people. So like, yeah, they're just like family. So I do understand when people say, oh, my colleagues are like family. Like, my colleagues were like my family. Like, they were there for good times, they were there for bad times, and like, we kind of helped out. Like, I was the only male for ages in our daycare, so, and like, there'd be guys that came and went, and that was cool. But all of those ladies in there, like, some of them were like parents. You'll know who you are. And some of them were like siblings too, like, just the dumb shit that we did in there. Like, I'll never forget you, my teacher friends. You know who you are. Don't want to name drop. But yeah, in that life with kids and teaching there's so much that happened that it's really hard to just put it in a little video. So I'll probably tell that story in another video and kind of explain what the 9 years of teaching was like. But yeah, what else? Like, teaching opened up a lot of opportunities for me. Like, it opened, I was relieving for high school, intermediates. I worked in special needs schools. I was the head coach for special swim Olympics up at Massey Park Pools, and like, those kids were amazing. Even though with their disability, they went hard. Like, I remember meeting a guy when I was teaching him. I think he was like about 50, and he could only do two things. So he can only concentrate on two things. So if he's breathing and walking, that's it. He won't, he can't listen. He's not watching where he's going. It was just really fascinating. He could only do two things, and he wanted to learn how to swim. And yeah, like, trying to teach him how to swim when he can only focus on thing was such a challenge. And he did well. He tried. Another person I taught to swim was a blind kid, and like he did so well. He had memorized of how far the lane felt to him, that he can swim straight and hit the wall and swim back without like going wonky in a lane. Like, so he had some talent. I wonder if he ever became a swim champ and stuff like that. So I only took over the role when they had no head coach, because I was a swim teacher for a while. And yeah, until somebody else took over, because they needed a serious person and a more of an adult for that kind of career and job and the help. And I think I was just too young to be a head coach for a Special Olympics at the time. So, but I won't forget the people I met there. Rose Hill School, that school was, it showed me that teachers go through hard things, like everyday teachers, like daycare teachers, school teachers and stuff like that. But then there's special needs teachers where I don't know how they do it. Like, my heart goes out to them. Like, I remember I couldn't do it at the start, but they paid you extra as a teacher if you changed the kids' diapers and stuff like that. And these were 14, 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, and like, you're still a teacher then, remember? Like, you're not a nanny and stuff like that. So this was still a teaching job. So, and yeah, that was a hard one. I enjoyed my time there. I think James Cook, for me, was the most intense school I ever worked at, and I only worked there for a little bit. I was just a reliever behavior teacher there, and there was this one girl that came in, and she had a phone, and the teacher said, you can't have your phone, and she just lost it and started swearing at her and just yelling at the top of her lung. And like, I was like, damn, like, I never spoke like that to any of my teachers. Like, I don't like my teachers, but I never swore at anybody like that. Like, shit. But just, that was one of the schools. Like, I remember I had to get a code just to enter through the gates with my car, because it was a rough school. I was like, oh. So yeah, so teaching did a lot of my life in there. After that, once I left teaching, I worked as a tire man. So I love that job. I think I was the fittest in that job that I've ever been in my life. Like, I had 2 crowbars. So the tires that I used to change were like big truck tires and like big tractors and like 22R, if you know what tire sizes are for like trucks. That's what like was the smallest tire I'd changed. And crowbars and an axe to just smash the bead out and then rip it out with just your bare strength, and then putting the new tire in, pumping it with air, bead blasting it, and then putting it in. And you'd have a truck that would come in and they'd want all 18 tires changed, and that took like 6 hours of just repeatedly, because you have to put up the truck on a jack, take out the bolts, take the wheel out, take the second wheel out, change them, put them back in, then move to the next two, and this is just by yourself. Like, I think we had 3 workers all up in the company, and yeah, it was intense. Like, it was a hard job. I really enjoyed the fitness and stuff like that, but to me, that boss really knew how to take advantage of his workers. Like, the amount of work and the price that he charged his client compared to what he was paying, like, this was 2018 and he was paying me, I think I was like $15 or $16, and like he was making per tire or per one job I was doing, it was like $400 to $500, and he was paying me $16 out of that for an hour. Yeah, for one 20-minute job, it'd be a $400 job. 500, like, even just a little bit would have been better. And his father, that was another reason I left there. So I had my boss, and then he had his father. They used to just walk around. Like, if you've ever been to an Indian company and stuff like that, you'll always see an older Indian man just walking around, and that was him. But he thought he was my master, and he just basically told me to do everything. But like, you're not my boss. Like, I'm here to change tires. I'm not here to go and clean your car or vacuum your car. And he's like, yes, you have to. My son owns this place, so I'm your boss. I was like, no. So yeah, that was a good job, but I'm glad I left that. I worked as a driver for a little while, dropping off bread to like franchises, like Countdown and Pack and Save and stuff like that. And I gotta give it out to the drivers at night, man. Staying up, and like, I think we used to start our shift at 11 at night, and then you'd go to the main base, pick up all the bread, put it into your truck, and then we'll jump on the road, and then we'd start up from Jury. Every petrol station in Derry on the way, we'd stop. They'd always have a key somewhere that we'd have to get it out, switch bread in, take the old crates, put it in, and then just follow the route until I think we finish about 8 in the morning. And then you get to like the big franchises about 5, and then there'll be all the other trucks from different companies that are doing the daily drops, milk, fresh stock, and you just be waiting there just ready to stock it. Like, it was such a boring job, just dropping off bread all night. But I gotta give it out to the drivers that drive at night. Like, that's a boring job, but you still do it. Like, somebody still has to do it, and you guys go hard. So shout out to that. And probably my last job that I'd probably say would be security. Security is a different kind of job. Like, every security guard that's out there or has done it, like, you don't know how fast a situation could change. One of the scariest situations that I was put into as a security guard was I was doing my patrol on one of the schools, and an alert came out that one of the other sites that I look after had the alarm has gone off. So I was just about to finish my school, and I thought I'll quickly finish this one because it was raining and I didn't want to come back to it, because you have to kind of drop what you're doing, go do that first, and then come back. And so I finished that, and then I went there and I checked out. I could see where the little broken bit was. Reset the alarm, called in. The next day I found out that once I did my first check over there while the staff were leaving, they were hiding in the bushes, and then they broke in and they walked inside to the area with 2 short out shotguns, and they were just breaking into the TAB, the pokey machines, trying to look for money. They didn't steal any alcohol, apparently. They just wanted money, but they walked in with 2 sword out shotguns, and you can see them clearly on the cameras. And if I had, like, when the alarm was going off, if I had left on time, I would have been running into them, because I got there 2 minutes after they had left, and that's how close it was. Like, so if I had just dropped everything and left, I would have been running into them. And like, they had sold out shotguns. They didn't steal any alcohol or anything like that. They just came for money. So if I was in their way and they already had guns, like, I don't know what's it like. I don't think I'd be here. And that was the main reason when I thought I don't want to be a security guard at night. And yeah, because and the amount of accidents I used to see for security guards at night, like, some of those guys out there are doing like double shifts, and like, I was so tired driving at night, especially like from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. where you're just driving to different sites. There's no cars, no nothing. Like, just even the cold air from just windows down didn't help. Your eyes are so heavy that you need to sleep. And like, security shifts were like 10 days on, 4 days off. So like 10 days straight. Like, the first 3 days is okay. 4th day you get tired, but then after that you're just buggered, because you start your shift at 6 p.m. Work till 6 a.m. and then when you get home, like, it's hard to fall asleep, especially if you have a family. So you didn't fall asleep till like 10, 11 in the morning, and then you have to wake up at 5 or 4 to get ready to start your shift again. And then it's hard on your body. So all the security people I know out there that did night shifts or do night shifts, man, I feel you. That's a hard life, and I chose not that life. I was like, there's other things I can do, because staying up like that, just torturing my body, like, what am I doing that for? Like, there was no end goal. The end goal for me in that one was the next time I'd probably run into one of those people that are going to break into those places. Like, I was working when there was a barrel that had dropped in a security in Hormai, if people can remember that. I was working that night where it was so windy, and like, a container dropped on a security and killed him. And the security guard, they got hit in Rewa, from in Kura from Countdown, when he tried to stop the person stealing. Like, just one hit. Like, he had a family to go back home to, and they're never gonna see him, and like, it was a job still. So yeah, it was one of those harder jobs, and I'm glad I'm not a security guard anymore, but it is a good job too. Like, day shifts are there, and the money as well. So if you've got the for it, and if you like to stay up late at night, security job it is. So yeah, thank you for still watching this video. This one's a bit of a long one, so see how my editing goes on this one. Like and subscribe, MidNightChats1, and we'll see how the next video goes. Peace.